Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Dead Ball Specialist Podcast. Now, the thing is that whenever I'm sitting over here, like in Mumbai, you can see the background, that those beautiful cassettes. When I'm in this background, generally I have a big ass microphone, that blue one that I use. And when I'm traveling, I can't carry such a big one, so that's why I use the Rode ones. But today, sitting over here, I'm still recording on the Rode ones. The question is why? Right? A lot of you might think that, this is a paid post and that Rode is paying me to do this. That's actually not the case. The thing is that, me being me, I have lost the connector of that big blue mic. It's still here, still pretty much here, but I don't know where the connector is. Pretty much the situation of my life, but making my life a little better, always, throughout the time that I have known him, is my friend on the other side joining us on the podcast from New Delhi, is Saurav Ganguly. Saurav, कहाँ था यार तू भाई? तू था कहाँ? देख मेरी हालत, क्या हो गया मुझे?
देखो, ऐसा है कि मैं आपको अपनी हालत बताऊं तो मुझे शुरू से शुरू करना पड़ेगा, तो हम शुरुआत से शुरू करते हैं फिर से. मैं गया हुआ था जम्मू.
बिल्कुल.
Ironically enough, I had 3 SIMs on me. I had an Airtel SIM, I had a Jio SIM, I had a Vodafone SIM. Unfortunately, all of them were prepaid, so I was cut off from entire communications for about 5 whole days. Amazing digital detox. Had been to a friend's wedding. Bloody amazing. बहुत मज़ा आया. But I'm back now. Back right into the bang in the middle of things, and I see a lot of things have actually happened over the world of football, cricket. कुछ भी कह लेते हैं. बहुत कुछ हुआ है, तो I'm just really raring to go again and sort of refigure whatever that's actually happened.
Yeah, I think we should. Yes. What are we talking about today, by the way?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about football, but उसके पहले, Sammy, I feel it's more of a therapy session right now. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the kind of trauma that the Indian cricket team has been through, and also the entire nation?
I mean, I'll tell you a first-hand experience. I was there, and I was really reading on Twitter that a part of Twitter says that the second half of the match was not the loudest crowd, and if this would have been Wankhede or this would have been Kolkata Eden Gardens, crowd chilla ke jita dete and all of that, right? Let me start by saying that it was a demolition job, guys. When you're there, आप टीवी पे देख रहे हो, है, अब बिल्कुल मैं मानता हूँ कि आप टीवी पे देख रहे हो तो इमोशंस आपको समझ में आ रहा है, बट जब आप वहाँ पे रहते हो ना, टीवी पे आपको एक फ्रेम दिखता है, वहाँ पे आपको पूरा ग्राउंड दिखता है. यू कैन सी द प्लेयर्स, यू कैन सी द ऑजीज, यू कैन सी so much, right? And overall the energy just went down because Australia, they were just tightening the screws around the neck with every single blow. And वैसे situation में it is just human for people to kind of, however, I mean, if you were watching it on TV, you'll know that I tried very hard to get the crowd going. But you need to also understand कि नहीं हो पाता है कुछ situations में, क्योंकि situation ही ऐसा है ना. हमारी देश हार रही है, और वर्ल्ड कप फाइनल उससे पहले 10 मैचेस जीत के they have reached the finals. We've been on a roll. We've done everything right. Every player has ticked all the boxes, except for that one game where it mattered. And it was heartbreaking, not just for me, I think for the entire nation. It was really heartbreaking. And to be very honest, for the first couple of days after the game, I still couldn't believe the fact that, this has happened. And I think I share this with a lot of people in the country as well. I think it was quite unbelievable of what happened, man.
यार ऐसे करते हैं कि तेरी हालत देख के मुझे सही नहीं लग रहा है. तू चाय वाय पीना चाहता है क्या?
I don't mind a cup of tea. Actually, I had got the cup, but I can't find it.
किचन में कहाँ मिलेगा?
हाँ यार, कप तो यहाँ नहीं है.
ले गई ना यार.
कप तो ऑस्ट्रेलिया ले गई ना यार.
I'm so sorry guys, I had to do it because that's the latest social media trend that's been happening. Moe, I really do not understand what moe means. Do you have any idea what moe means? What does it mean? Like कि KLPT हुआ है?
No. For the longest time, I thought it was moe amore, right? As in my love, all right? That's what I thought. I still don't know if that's a thing or not, because yeah, heartbreak hota hai, so then you go into a song which says more more, right? That makes the maximum sense. But ये phenomenon क्या है क्या नहीं है, but सबसे मुझे जो अच्छा लगता है कि हम लोग we as a community we can just pick up something and kind of make fun of it in any possible way that is possible. So it's quite cool.
But ladies and gentlemen, whoever is listening to this podcast, whoever is looking at this podcast, something that I'm really proud of myself, not you maybe Sammy, because it will be a little megalomaniac for you to do it, but on my screen right now is a tweet from Penya Madrista T Bombay, the topic being super proud of our hype man RJ Sammy, lo and presto, who hosted the Cricket World Cup in the stadium. He was so loud that we could hear him cheer for the entire team even on the broadcast. Well done, sire. I agree with it. This is a clipping of the article that reads City Boy, the voice of the stadium in the World Cup finals. And Sammy, it is for me, the first time I saw it was today. Of course, it was published today. मैं थोड़ा बाहर गया हुआ था. I was meeting a couple of friends, but I couldn't really hide my smile when I was actually going through this. But the thing what I want to know right now is, it looks like it says City Boy. It says a lot about your connections to Kolkata as a city, but I feel, having known you for over I do not know, umpteen number of years now, it's also just not Kolkata, it's now Bombay too. So you've been a Delhi boy as well for a good 4, 5, 6, 7 years. No idea how it went by.
Yeah.
But I feel that your connection with Bombay and Kolkata is also, I mean, इस article से मुझे थोड़ा पता नहीं चल रहा है. Like, how do you associate yourself? Do you associate yourself more with Bombay right now? Or is it just like a sort of a, a reference point of nostalgia with Kolkata?
No, I think that's actually a very deep question. I didn't know that you were going to ask such deep questions today. Yeah. हाँ नहीं, but I think at some level देख यार, हम जहाँ पैदा होते हैं ना वहाँ पे हमारे रूट्स होते हैं, तो कुछ भी हो जाए कैलकाटा के साथ एक मतलब कनेक्शन तो है ही. सिर्फ कनेक्शन नहीं कहूँगा मैं उसे, अ वेरी डीप रूटेड कनेक्शन, वो तो है ही. बट अभी क्या हुआ है, आई थिंक आफ्टर मूविंग टू मुंबई ना, आई थिंक आई रिलेट अ लिटिल मोर टू दिस सिटी. It's also could be because of the fact that it's my present, and that this is where I am right now. So I'm kind of more connected to this city. But yeah, I mean, Calcutta is always there in my heart.
Of course.
But हाँ यार, मुंबई थोड़ा भी feel तो होता है.
हाँ, होता ही है. Actually, guys, not wasting any time more, we want to quickly dive into whatever is happening in the world of football. And Sammy, one of the biggest news that is right now coming out is the 25% stake of Sir Jim Ratcliffe that we were talking about last time around, if you remember. And it looks like it's more or less done. There is a lot of hype, a lot of rumors about the kind of personnel who are going to come out, who are going to come into the new Manchester United picture. Incidentally, people who are not aware, our CEO, he's just quit the position, and it's more like he's going to be quitting it in a couple of months from now. So, Sammy, what are your thoughts? Like, how do you see this fourth? Matlab, last time around we were talking about it and we felt that, it's a good move. But, I personally feel it's a little dicey. For me, it's like more like a little bit about, that classic English proverb where you say between the devil and the deep sea. Now, 25% stake of a club, not a majority stakeholder. I do not know how you see this.
I mean, see, honestly, I wasn't in favor of this, and I think I had made myself very vocal about that as well, very loud and clear, that I would have preferred a Qatari takeover. Also because of the fact that it would have been 100% takeover, so good, bad, ugly, whatever was to follow, you would kind of put a face to it, right? It makes it a little more relatable for everybody, right? Now with 25% going to Mr. Ratcliffe, I think one of the first things that should happen is, and I think that's already in motion, like you said, the CEO's quit. So in a couple of months, Mr. Arnold will be moving out. There'll be a new CEO. This 25%, how you use this, if I were the Glazers at this point of time, I would have said that, listen, I've tried to run this club my way. It's clearly kind of, while it's given me some good, but mostly what I see is that the bad is on the higher side, right? Here's your 25%, and out of the 25% ownership that I'm giving you of the club, what I expect you to do is to kind of take over the operational bit of the football club per se. And if you clearly have expertise over there, so kind of run this as a top-notch football club, and whatever money you can bring in, I'm going to give you targets just like any boss would with 75% of the company. We are going to kind of split it 75-25 or whatever the understanding is between them. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that sort of Mr. Ratcliffe's first job at hand should be to operationalize this club properly, like a proper football club, like a proper organization, right? We still don't have a director of football. Our relationship with the fans are at an all-time low. While merchandise sales are still on, can we do a little more to bring in a few more world-class players who are going to sell, let's say, more shirts?
Sammy, interestingly, when you say that, in terms of finances, how we are doing right now, the official, how do I say this? The finances are out, and it looks like Manchester City, for the first time, based on their fabulous run of actually having won the treble, they've trounced Manchester United to an overall record high sales, which has never been seen before. Now, I bring this out particularly because of the fact that what I want to talk about is how nicely you've actually put forward the notion that that we are not a good footballing operations team on field. I want to point it out because I personally feel, to a lot of viewers, to a lot of podcast listeners who are not aware of how a footballing team functions, it's not just a team that goes out and plays. It's actually a well-run machine. It's actually a good business. And to actually have a business model that works, you need to have important cogs in throughout the wheel. So in terms of a footballing operation, a director of football is as quintessential to you having a heart that beats properly. If I find out that I've got a heart that's got a sort of an arrhythmic rhythm to the beats, I'd probably go and show myself to a cardiac surgeon, right? And if you remember, couple of years back, between the transition season between Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to the permanently appointed Erik ten Hag, we had Ralf Rangnick who'd come in, and although the football what Ralf Rangnick played wasn't that great, but what I did like about him was the fact that he used to come out after the post-match, during the post-match conferences, and used to categorically speak about the changes that are actually required at the footballing level. I have on my screen in which he actually says that it's very clear we require an open heart surgery, and by that he doesn't just mean the change of personnel who are actually out on the field. He also means the way that the club is run, the way that the club functions, the way that the recruiting team functions.
See, Saurav, I'll tell you something, right? With Ralf Rangnick, he was never meant to be our manager. He was always meant to take up the position of director of football, right? It's just, I would say, destiny that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer went through a run of bad games. The board decided to axe him from the squad, and the only person who was available interim immediately to take over was Ralf Rangnick, right? And he was given the job. However, let's be absolutely clear about this. That was never the job that was meant for him, and that was never the job that he meant to do himself either.
Correct.
He was always looking at heading operations, right? And then we go ahead, and the funny part is that, the funny part to kya bolunga bhi, matlab, the sad part actually is that he was supposed to take over as director of football the next season with a new coach coming in, and he decided not to go ahead. He decided not to go ahead with Manchester United. And that, according to me, just speaks volumes about what is the situation at the club. It is, आपको एक आप थोड़ा सा छोटे रोल पे आके आपने देख लिया कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का हालत तो काफी टाइट है. आप क्या करोगे? आप बड़े रोल लेने से पहले तो आप भाग ही जाओगे. So that's exactly what's happening.
To sum it all, people who might just be a little disenchanted to know about whatever Manchester United is, मैं अगर आपको कुछ हिंदी के शब्दों में इसको दो, मतलब if I can summarize, हम वो दहशत के पिटारे हैं जिसको आप खोले तो हर दिन कुछ नया निकलता है. लेकिन आज 10 बजे जैसे हम एवर्टन के साथ खेलने वाले हैं, हमें पता नहीं कि हमें क्या होने वाला है, हारेंगे जीतेंगे ड्रॉ होगा क्या होगा, पता नहीं, कुछ नहीं पता हमें.
सौरव सुनना एक सेकंड यार, वो दहशत के क्या था, वो
दहशत का पिटारा है हम. We are the Pandora's box of troubles. दहशत का पिटारा. लाइक इफ यू सीन, लाइक आई टेल यू पॉप कल्चर रेफरेंस. मैं बचपन से एनी हॉरर मूवी आई सॉ वाज दैट ऑफ तुलसी राम से, जहाँ पे क्या होता था कि आपका पहला पिक्चर जो आएगा ना, वहाँ पे बहुत सारा कोहरा होगा, वहाँ पे बहुत सारा लाइटनिंग होगी, वो बहुत सारे मतलब स्पूकी नॉइजेस. बट दैट इज द दहशत का पिटारा. मतलब यू डू नॉट नो, लाइक when you look through the entire episode, you say why the fuck are you doing this? Why the hell is that guy is actually walking into some sort of nonsense where I can predict and say that nothing's gonna be, whatever is gonna happen is not gonna be positive. मतलब तुम जा ही क्यों रहे हो, तुम कर ही क्यों रहे हो. For me right now, Manchester United in that space. But I don't want to talk much about Manchester United is because what I want to get at, Sammy, is the fact that
हाँ भाई एक सेकंड बिफोर यू गेट टू दैट, मैं सिर्फ एक छोटा सा चीज करना चाहता हूँ. दहशत का पिटारा
ये है क्या?
चले एक काम कर, 200 रुपए दे और 50 रुपए काट ओवर एक्टिंग के.
आगे बोलो.
Right, but the big news right now is Everton have been found guilty of breaching sustainability rules around the Premier League rules, because of which they have been docked 10 points. Now
मैं तेरे को यही पूछना चाह रहा था. अभी हुआ ये है कि I was traveling as you know and caught up in stuff, but the thing is that मेरे पास एक न्यूज़ आया कि जो मैनचेस्टर सिटी के साथ होना चाहिए था वो एवर्टन के साथ हो चुका है. They have been docked points and apparently 10 of them. But I obviously don't know what is going on and why is this happening. और तुझे क्या लगता है कि मतलब सही हुआ गलत?
हाँ, मैं तुझे बताता हूँ. देख, ऐसा हुआ है कि अभी मतलब ओके, सो एवर्टन, द चार्जेस अगेंस्ट एवर्टन एंड द चार्जेस अगेंस्ट मैनचेस्टर सिटी, लेट्स सेग्रीगेट देम. आई एम गोना briefly go through whatever Everton's going through and I'm going to go again about what Manchester City has been going through. As of Everton say that the financial breach centers around interest payments for the new 760-80 million stadium at Bramley Moot Dock. Now the club believes that the interest payments represented permissible add-backs for profits and sustainability calculations in the 21-22 year. But the investigating commission disagreed and did not accept the club's claim of mitigating factors. Matlab, to sum it up, to put it in layman's terms, Sammy, what has happened is now the Premier League rules, there are a set of rules about financial sustainability in which it states that in 3 years, if the governing body finds ki, say that you have had a losses of about in the region of 105 million, you are okay. But Everton have been found to be in the region of more than 303 million. So it's around 200 million more. Now this is repeatedly being done by Everton despite Premier League actually cautioning them and saying that, you know what, you are not a profitable business, yet you are expanding, yet you are trying to do things and you are in the tune of 200 million extra than whatever we permit you to do. And if you remember, Luca Digne, the fullback, they were sold by Everton. He was Everton's one of the better performers in the recent years. He was sold to Aston Villa just because Everton wanted to balance their books. It's not because Everton wanted to get rid of the player. A lot of people are not aware of this. Right. I digged a little bit into whatever articles I could find over the internet. And what I figured is that Luca Digne was also not vehemently, opposing it because he figured that, it's also it's going to make sense for him. It's going to make sense for him professionally because Aston Villa in a better space, in a better league position than where Everton is. Now, after all of this that has happened...
also, I think I think his market value goes up.
Yeah, his market value goes
up. He's sold at a certain cost, his market value goes
up. For sure. And now, Sean Dyche recently in the press conference that had happened yesterday, a couple of days back, Sean Dyche, the present Everton coach come player manager, he's the manager, not the player manager, he said that I can't get involved in all of that But there's a swell of Toffees getting behind the club, and the feeling of Evertonians is one of injustice. Sammy, on my screen right now is a screen grab of the Evertonian fans flying a mural. They're flying a message to everyone at the Etihad Stadium for a game that took place yesterday between City and Liverpool. It says Premier League equal to corrupt. And this is generally been done by Everton, is because the whole saga about Everton being docked 10 points right now is raising a lot of questions on Manchester City and Chelsea, where Manchester City have been found guilty of 115 charges of flouting FFP rules. And then there is a lot of talk about how the independent commission is going to come into picture, and how maybe Manchester City could also be relegated. But the thing is, what Evertonian fans are finding it to be a little hard to digest this pill is the fact that how Manchester City have been given this, free pink slip to operate. And I couldn't have agreed more.
Correct.
I also feel the same. I do not feel it because मुझे लग रहा है कि हाँ मैं मैनचेस्टर यूनाइटेड फैन हूँ and I hold a grudge against them. It's not that. Truly, when you look at it,
Right.
it's not just me. I also watched a very recent episode of the Gary Neville podcast, and he talks about the same thing, how football is just going into some, in a grey area where it shouldn't be. And it's a very valid
सौरभ,
question.
बहुत
It's a
simple
very
फंडा
valid
है यार.
question.
अगर कोई मतलब देख, अगर कोई रूल है ना, वो तेरे लिए भी लागू होना चाहिए, मेरे लिए भी लागू होना चाहिए. It's as simple as that, right? Just because let's say you are 20 times richer than me, and you have connections all across the world, should not affect the judgment that is being passed if let's say both of us have committed the same mistake or the same crime.
Correct.
Right? However, I think what people need to understand is that is how the world functions.
It does.
If you can make a call to a certain somebody who is in an influential position, इसमें कोई मतलब ये आप लड़ सकते हो, कर सकते हो. I think over centuries people have been fighting for this, but नहीं होता है. सीधा हिसाब है भाई. Let's be realistic. मतलब मैं तो भी बहुत realistic person, ठीक है, कि मेरे को तो ऐसा लगता है कि नहीं, Manchester City will get away with stuff. That is as simple as that. So will PSG. So will any club which has like multi-billion-dollar companies or individuals backing them, right? It's not just the money; it's also what that money buys for you. So Evertonians, honestly, I feel for you. If this would have been happening to a Man United, I would have felt the same way. I know what you're feeling, but this is the truth, and the truth is that Everton or any other club for that matter will be a part of the Premier League, and the Premier League knows that.
Yeah.
So they're just flexing their muscles. That's all.
Yeah. Speaking about flexing the muscles, Sammy, there's certain someone who used to flex his own muscle when it used to be the theater of dreams, Mr. Wayne Rooney. He has recently joined Birmingham City as the new coach. He's not had a very good start to life. Lost 4 of the first 5 games. Incidentally drawn 1 game against Ipswich Town. Then again, where the manager is Kieran McKenna, who used to be the assistant coach to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. A lot of subplots. But Birmingham City, a lot of people do not know about this, but just as a trivia, Sammy, Birmingham City, it is very adjacent to Aston Villa, geographically located. It's like Manchester City and Manchester United. Aston Villa is the prime team right now. They're playing in the Premier League. Birmingham City isn't. Birmingham City, however, just like for information, it's a working class city, right? And Wayne Rooney, when he lost the first couple of matches, he was asked like, how are you finding the Birmingham crowd? And the Birmingham crowd wasn't very welcome to him. They had chants at the St. Andrews Stadium, and later Wayne Rooney was asked, how do you find Birmingham City? Are you liking it here? And he said, it's a working class club. It's in a working class city. The fans are hugely passionate, but they have had enough of treading water. They just want a team that can really get behind. Finally, it seems like Birmingham City has finally won their 6th game. That's one of his First victories in 6 games. Looks tough, but I'm also really glad to see Wayne Rooney back into the English football scene. Maybe not the Premier League, but at least
And the fact of the
Championship or
matter,
whatever.
absolutely, and so sort of for the fact of the matter is that Birmingham have got a very good manager. They just need to, I think, understand and realize that sometimes, people like Wayne Rooney, with the kind of commitment and the kind of passion that they have inside them towards football, they are able to not just lift players but also people who they are working with to kind of take the club to a next level, right? For them, I think for Birmingham, the next level should be Premier League. Yes, Wayne Rooney has not had any managerial experience in the Premier League, but as a player, I think we'll all agree that he knows a little too much about the Premier League with all the stuff that he has done.
पता है क्यों? You know what? The next line, what he says. Listen to this. Birmingham are basically what Manchester City were before the takeover. A big club in the shadow of more successful neighbours with a fan base that is desperate for success. Now, for people, Sammy as well, maybe you've seen it, but have you had the chance to see Peaky Blinders on Netflix? Thomas Shelby.
I mean, I just started, bro, but I couldn't kind of go through it because for obvious reasons.
Famous
but yes,
pop culture reference
people
to
around me have been
is
watching
a big fan of Cillian Murphy, the man from the very famous movie. What is it? What was it about that nuclear bomb? What was it? Oppenheimer, right? Man who plays Mr. Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy, he basically plays this character of in Peaky Blinders where he's off the Birmingham City. So it's very famous. It's also a very famous football team. I mean, I'm just digressing maybe right now. It's because surely for the love of the whole drama. But moving on, Sammy.
And for maybe what's in your cup, maybe because of that as well.
Yeah.
You never
for
know.
sure. Some contraband guys, whoever can see it.
Contra, bhai, Contra khilbo.
Moving on, Sammy. Yes, we need to get to the most important part of today's conversation. Is Sammy, because since July of 2023, it's been exactly 5 months. We've been harping about how horrible VAR has gotten, and to top it on.
Well, one second. We are not harping about it at all. We are just presenting facts.
We're just presenting facts.
Sham.
In fact, it's just not the both of us. Arsenal versus Newcastle game, pivotal goal scored by Newcastle, in which the Newcastle won 2-1, brought in a lot of criticism from a lot of players, from a lot of people over the internet. The internet was nearly broken. Is clearly because Arsenal fans couldn't have it, and we are just, and at this point of time, we have with us, maybe not live, but we managed to grab the attention of a very avid Arsenal fan, that of our friend Wally Aritra from Canada. Man has decided to go on a rant. This is what he has to say. Please watch the clip.
Hey, sorry, just pushing this chair out of the frame. Unless you are VAR and the Arsenal versus Newcastle game, in which case this is probably not a push, right? 2 hands on the back of something, moving an immovable object, probably not a push. Because, I mean, I'm guessing they've never been in a Mumbai local train or a Delhi metro, never really felt 2 hands on the back of a person. They don't know what a push is, right? But anyways, so a lot of people will come out and say that, is that the only reason why you lost the game? No, I'm not saying that, right? We really did not play up to our potential. There was David Raya channeling the ghost of our esteemed Flapiansky. I mean, what happened to competition? There was supposed to be this entire whole gauntlet thrown down between David Raya and Aaron Ramsdale, but Ramsdale gone on paternity leave. I love the fact that we are kind of adhering to corporate rules here and we're giving him like a 6 weeks paternity leave off, but what did he do? Did he make a joke about Arteta's hair or steal his hair gel? Just kidding. I trust in Arteta, right? So I'm sure he's doing the right thing. But the fact is, Raya is not really playing up to scratch. And he did make a mistake that day. The rest of the team also did not. We created enough chances. We probably didn't deserve to win. But, when you look at that overall goal, there are two things that jump up to me. One is the fact that Raya made a mistake. The other is the entire VAR controversy. So you've got a ball being sent in, which probably went out. Did you guys see the line that was drawn in the aftermath, the analysis? Did it feel like someone selected the thickest paintbrush on MS Paint and kind of just make sure that a little bit of that line, like a quarter of an inch, was still over the line, just to make sure that VAR was in the right? And then it goes thrown in. Willock, of course, had to be, right? One of our people who we sold off. And then he puts in the cross, goes to Joe Linton, who puts two hands on the back of Gabriel, but it's not a push, right? Being politically correct here. And probably hits his hand, bounces off to Anthony Gordon, who's behind Raya. Who knows what the offside rule is? That's a joke in itself anyways. And then he puts it in. But, in all of this, the fact is that we probably did not deserve to lose on a technicality, especially to Newcastle at St. James's Park, which, even Aritra has come out and said this. This is one of the most horrifying and terrific atmospheres in all footballing worlds around the globe. You've got PSG coming here. You've got the away fans sitting right up at the tier. I think this is one of the only places where you probably don't hear the Arsenal fans singing most of the times. So it's a tough match. It's a tough away game. We just don't deserve to lose on a technicality. Draw's probably the fair result, right? Who am I? No one. Just your standard Aam Aadmi Arsenal fan putting his opinions out there.
I loved it, Sammy. Pata hai? Surely because he's actually used the chair as a prop.
He's right.
In which he's just slowly pushing it forward and he's trying to put forward his point. I fucking loved it, man. This is what it is.
And you know what is the best part? Do you know what is the best part? Representations, yes, but he's absolutely right. He's bang on. If you see, not just with his impersonations, but the message that he's trying to get through. I think everybody is feeling like that at this point of time. Aapka club koi bhi ho, whichever club you're supporting at this point of time, VAR has at some level unglified your club and the fans and the followers to becoming what Wally has become.
And he makes a very good point. Barring all the dramatics, we love it. Wally, full 13 out of 10 for
full.
However you have expected. Yes. This is for you, brother. Bhalawasha. But he makes a very valid point at the end. He says, to lose the game on a mere technicality, that's not done. That is what VAR has done, right? It's just brought in so much technical stuff. So it kind of just takes the emotion out of the game. Now, it's not just us, Sammy. It's not just us. I have various instances. Presently, Iago Aspas, if you remember, the ex-Liverpool striker, currently the Celta Vigo striker, he also had a mad rage and he went on a rampage against VAR. Man actually threw the VAR screen to the ground during the draw versus Sevilla. So it's not just us telling you that VAR is bad, VAR has taken the bloody emotions out of the game. It's the players themselves are also doing it. On my screen is a screen grab. वहाँ पे बंदा पकड़ रहा है screen को और उसको धकेलने वाला है. Cannot show you the whole footage, but I am circling it with a.
But we are showing you pictures.
I am just showing the picture. Yeah. But that is what Iago Aspas has done. This is what VAR has done to our game. मेरे तो ज़्यादा बाल झड़े हैं यार. मैं तुझे बताऊँ, I've lost a lot of hair purely probably because of how VAR has come in, not a lifestyle change. It's not a lifestyle change.
No, but my point is very simple, is that when VAR was not there, right, probably it was, we were having games. I very clearly remember me becoming an advocate for VAR, as a person, was that Germany versus England game, where I think England were losing 2-1, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a Euroca game, and Frank Lampard had chipped the ball. It went over the keeper, hit the crossbar, bounced inside the line, and the ball came out, everybody in the England squad, I mean, in the England camp started shouting, goal, goal, goal. The umpire did not, the referee did not give it as a goal. Okay. And I think it was that, and England went ahead to lose that game 2-1 and eventually got eliminated of that tournament. तो मेरे लिए ना वो एक पिवटल पॉइंट था जहाँ पे मुझे लगा था कि नहीं, हमें टेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए, एटलीस्ट ये सारे जो हाउलर्स हैं इनसे हमें मतलब कोई तो बचा है.
completely makes sense.
Right. But नहीं, प्रॉब्लम क्या हुआ पता है तेरे को? प्रॉब्लम ये हुआ कि आई थिंक just like every other invention that happens, the job of that invention also evolved. फिर हम लोग घुस गए ऑफसाइड्स में, फिर हम घुस गए रेड कार्ड्स में, फिर हम घुस गए येलो कार्ड्स में, फिर हम घुस गए पेनल्टीज में, इसमें उसमें फिलाना ढिमका ढकोसला करते करते आज मुझे ऐसा लगता है that this is a system that is run by people, right? For everyone, just a little bit of a reference, if you have not watched it, watch The Railway Men on Netflix, and you will understand how system essentially works in time of crisis. And I think that's exactly what is happening with VAR. The gas tragedy in Bhopal happened because the equipment was operated by people who are not trained enough. Okay, I think that's exactly what is happening with VAR. I feel that the people who are making these calls are not trained enough, not just in real life situations, but overall I think an understanding there is somewhere a disparity for rules, if you know what I mean. मतलब मान ले तू और मैं, हम लोग दोनों VAR के रेफरीज बनने जाते हैं, तुझे जो समझाया जाएगा वर्सेस मुझे जो समझाया जाएगा, I think at the end of the night, if we both sit down over a beer and we are discussing, we will be able to understand that there's a disparity in the line of thought that, you know, that you've got and I have got on the same goddamn clip that I can see on a television set. I think that is where the problem is, and I don't know how FIFA and I mean PGMOL essentially needs to kind of, you know, fix that, and how PGMOL kind of plans on fixing that and making like a rule of thumb for everything and have that implemented. I don't know how that's going to happen. But yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right, brother. That's all right. Is because, you know, I mean, this has been a talking factor amongst not just you and me. I met a lot of people. I met a lot of people in Delhi. I met a lot of people back home. I had been to a couple of weeks back, and we were just of the same opinion that how VAR has now changed the narrative of the footballing game. You know, there are a lot of these new rules that have come in, right? कि अभी आपको क्या है कि now if you've seen, you have these extra times that are going into the same tandem that was happening during the World Cup, and they want to have these 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes long extra times after each and every half. Now, incidentally, after the nonsense that had happened in the Arsenal versus Newcastle game, again PGMOL released the official audio, and where they tried justifying how that was a goal that wasn't a shove by Joe Linton on Gabriel. Arsenal also came up with their own official statement. Arsenal said that wholeheartedly support Mikel Arteta after he criticized the officiating in Saturday's Premier League defeat by Manchester United, imploring the referee's body, PGMOL, to look into the standards of refereeing. And the thing is, what I feel ki if a ton of these clubs, if a bunch of clubs are coming out and saying that all of this, what is happening right now, however VAR is actually getting in, or however VAR is being used to intervene during games to know whether the goal was should officially stand or not, I do not support it. I have not supported it for a very long period of time. We have not supported it for a very long period of time, and it's clearly because I personally feel Manchester United boys, we've had a terrible record this season. अच्छा नहीं है, ठीक ठाक किसी तरीके से 8th पे चिपके हुए हैं हम लोग, पता नहीं कैसे.
Mid-table club
for sure. The way we've been functioning as a club as a whole, like Operation Body, like we were just talking about, it's fine. 8th is fine. But I feel like, you know, if you look at, if you look at the Garnacho goal, if you look at the handballs, if the decisions, this is crazy decisions, like people standing at point blank region, and if you shoot a ball at his face, of course it's gonna be his reflex to just save his face and not save his face, right? Like, what are you asking about? So इन सब चीज़ों पे जो हुआ है, and how VAR just goes on to show that, you know what, it's a handball, it's an offense and everything, I do not agree with it a lot. So I'm really hoping by the end of this season we come to a part where we agree that, you know, all of this is not nice and we move forward, we make progressive, you know, what do you say, progress or
progressive progress. I think that's the best
progress.
part. I think that's the best way you could have progressive progress. चाहिए अपन को भाई. This VR shit is just getting way too much. Abhi recently, yesterday there was a game between Manchester City and Liverpool. And you know, incidentally, since I was back over here, I was visiting one of the pubs over here. You know, Cafe Mondegard for people.
Lovely, man. I remember going with you, but I do not remember how the night ended. Probably because.
Pretty much. Let's not get there. There. But the point is that I was over there, you know, having a drink and watching the game, and a Liverpool fan was sitting on the table right next to me, and you know me, I hit up conversations with people randomly, and I asked him that. So, what do you think? Liverpool have a chance? They're like, you know, we have to keep Haaland in check. So, two biggest threats for today that I'm looking at are Haaland and VAR. Just to kind of put it into perspective.
Haaland and VAR, dude.
I was
fucking him. If VAR is actually Manchester City's
that's exactly what he said.
12th man.
Best friend. But you know, I get his point. It is their 12th man, yet he's scared of it. You know, but he's a Liverpool fan, so I'm guessing it makes sense for him to be scared of it. But that's where it's got to. But anyway.
Yeah. Sammy, okay, it's been about, it looks like it's 4 to an hour. We've just been chatting about random nonsense, but quickly getting into the Premier League standings right now. दिवाली के दिन प्रीमियर लीग ने हमें एक तोहफा दिया. सिटी वर्सेस चेल्सी 4-all. I watched it with Osama. You won't believe, Osama came right before the game. हमने काफ़ी सारा नाचे हम लोग बाहरी. मैं आप क्लिप देख सकते हैं, हम लोग भी ढोलक पे नाच रहे थे.
हाँ जी. एक सेकंड भाई लोग, ये क्लिप आप पहले देखिए. ये मैच के पहले या बाद में?
ये मैच के पहले. Okay, so you know what, bro, you won't believe. मेरी लक इतनी ख़राब है. By the evening, Swiggy stopped delivering food to us. You know what I had for dinner? I had 2 egg puffs. And Osama came in, I told him, bro, I have 2 egg puffs. A guy got food with him. And he was telling me कि भाई ये काफ़ी बोरिंग मैच होने वाला है. हमने बॉस ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है. अभी गोल पे गोल होने वाला है. Ended up with 4-all.
8 goal.
Diwali dhamaka from Premier League. Thank you very much. Namaste. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
much. We don't
much.
mind. Namaste. Till the time you score goals and मेरे FPL points भी आगे बढ़े और आपके गोल पे मतलब ड्रॉ पे अगर एक ही पॉइंट मिले हमें कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता. बट लुकिंग एट द प्रीमियर लीग स्टैंडिंग्स राइट नाउ, Sammy, Arsenal are number 1 courtesy of their win last night. Manchester City is 2, Liverpool's 3, Aston Villa is 4. Currently they're leading 2-1 against Tottenham, who's 5th. How do you think about the league standings right now? Does it clearly picturize of how the season's been for all of us?
It does, and sort of I think it's a 3-horse race from here on, right? City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. I think whoever keeps their composure, I think they are going to be eventual champions, right? It kind of reminds me of the famous season where Steven Gerrard slipped and Liverpool lost the Premier League, if you remember.
Which year was this, man?
I think
probably the best year of my life, man.
मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा है.
The best year.
देख, क्लियरली तेरा बेस्ट ईयर नहीं है, क्योंकि अगर ऐसा होता तो तेरे को याद रहता which year.
भाई जो भी दिन था बहुत ही सुहाना दिन था. मैं आज फिर से देख सकता हूँ वो चीज.
Oh, this man just loves Liverpool, doesn't he? Yeah, but coming back to my point, Saurav, is that I think it is gonna be a season like that. If you can keep your composure, you win the Premier League. If you can't keep your composure, you are gonna lose the Premier League. You're gonna be number 2 or number 3.
Yeah.
And which is, I mean, you're gonna play Champions League for sure. But winning the Premier League is what we're talking about. So, मुझे लगता है कि it's a 3-horse race, and whoever keeps their composure wins it.
So, Sammy, finally moving on from Premier League into a La Liga corner. Something that's really stood out for me is currently, after 13 matches being played, okay, top team. People would expect Madrid, people would expect Atletico Madrid, people would expect Barcelona, but surprisingly, it is Girona who've played 13 games, won 11, drew 1, lost 1. Currently on 34 points, 2 points ahead of Real Madrid, who's second. Barcelona is fourth. But so how do you see this? Do you see that eventually Girona's journey is going to drop down, and then Madrid and Barcelona or Atletico Madrid going to take over? How do you see this?
I see this like how we never saw Leicester coming that season, and they won the
brother.
Premier League,
on point.
Yeah. है ना, but यार पता है क्या, this is a new dawn, I think, for a club like Girona as well, for La Liga as a franchise as well as a league as well. Fact of the matter is that Barcelona and Real Madrid have dominated it so much. I think it is about time that people started talking about other clubs as well, right? And this, I think, is a watershed moment for them if Girona actually kind of are able to hang on to this, and even if not that, even if they finish like second or third I think this is going to be great. It's a great thing that's happening in Spain right now. But अभी तो पता नहीं, तेरे को पता ही है, जितने भी ये अपना अंडरडॉग्स होते हैं उनको मैं सपोर्ट करने लग जाता हूं.
नहीं सही बात है, and सही बात है, and Sammy, I mean, I don't know, but it's a very interesting article I also just happened to bump upon. It says how, if people aren't aware, Girona is actually a sister concern of the Manchester City team. And this whole article, कहाँ है यार, मेरे पास है खुला हुआ. It says how Girona's actually been dominating La Liga, and it's very heartening to see, If you remember that season 2015-16, whatever it was, where Leicester won the Premier League. And it was actually a breakaway from knowing traditional top 6 or whoever top 4s going for the kill and winning the Premier League title. So it was a win for I mean, in pure romanticizing the game, you would say that, I mean, it's lovely for the neutrals. I hope it stays that way. I hope that La Liga also just fares up to the whole hype about what the Premier League is all about. But Sammy, any closing thoughts from your side? Because I feel I'm really done. I'm very overexhausted. So is my thing is finished.
That is why he's exhausted. This man is actually never exhausted. Whenever he's exhausted, and if I am around, then he makes me give him a head and a neck massage. We'll make a video of it one day. He has this recliner where I sit, and then he comes and sits right below on the floor, and and I have to give him a head massage, and that's when you know that he's exhausted. But sort of, I think, coming back to the podcast again after a break is probably the most nicest, beautifulest, सबसे दिल खुश करने वाला thing that has happened to me after that loss, that I was unfortunately and fortunately a part of. But yeah, it's great to be back, guys. In the meantime, we are also trying to scale up our podcast. While both of us are kind of caught up in our lives, we still try and ensure that we get together every week to record at least one episode of the podcast. What we want from you is if you could show us a little bit of support. All right, हमारे जो इंस्टाग्राम और सोशल मीडिया के हैंडल्स है वो तो यहाँ पे है ही आपके सामने. आई एम @RJSammy07, ही इज @waza2188. बट हमने एक नया पेज लॉन्च किया है विच इज द डेड बॉल स्पेशलिस्ट पॉडकास्ट पेज ऑन इंस्टाग्राम. ओके, अगर आप वहाँ पे जाके इफ यू जस्ट शो योर सपोर्ट ओवर देयर, मे बी अ फॉलो, मे बी अ लाइक, if you like the content, a share would be great. And we start building a community wherein this podcast becomes a voice of you, and we become essentially the messengers, right? That is what we intend on doing with the podcast. So if you can show us some support over there, it would be really, really amazing. So yeah.
Yes, man speaks the truth always. For me, as of this moment, bye. Thank you very much, Sammy. I hope to do this in a week's time with you. Yes, man. We just gonna
बिल्कुल
do
मैं
this
तेरे को
right
पकड़ के
after the
चुम्मी
pod.
दे दूंगा एक हफ्ते में. Yeah. Okay, bye bro.
Bye, brother.
See ya.
Bye.